Hello Internet. Today we have a special graphics card that doesn't have any display ports or HDMI ports to output any kind of graphics. What it does have is 32 gigs of memory that's built right into the core itself, and this memory is known as HBM, high bandwidth something or other. Who cares? So somebody attempted to, I don't know, mess with it, experiment with it, or whatnot. I think I see the remains of a potential shunt mod here. Don't really know. Hard to say. Maybe it's just flux all the way around. But the connector is gone. So, which is, ooh, there's a whole lot more flux on the back of this thing here as well. And that's very unfortunate because kind of complicates the matter a little bit, because I have to solder the connector, but I gotta make sure that I do the right one. So how do I know which connector do I need? Well, one way to know would be to sort of pretend like we assemble this back together, look at the design and kind of sort of estimate where the latch would be, so that way we can at the very least figure out, like, I'm thinking it's gonna go in here like this. See, so I want to see the latch on the bottom, but I also need to know which end of that connector, which pins of this connector gonna go to the ground. Like if we were to connect this one, so if we're gonna get ground on the first row, then that's a regular PCI Express connector. But if we get ground on the second row, which will be this one here, then that means that this is going to be the EPX or something along those lines that are used on your motherboard for the CPU connector. So one way to figure this out, obviously using a multimeter, and figured out where is ground. So do we have ground here? Nope. We got ground. No. Oh, bad contact. No. Look at that. Okay, so we got ground. Oh yeah, my multimeter's dead. Perfect timing, China. All right, let's I'm gonna replace the battery on this thing, and then we'll continue on figuring this out. All right, the multimeter is back in business. Let's figure out what's going on in here. Where is them ground? All right, are you ground? Yes, ground. Don't even know what it is. So ground. Not ground. Okay, so if we were to take that connector again and take a look at it, or imagine that we have it. So if we were to connect this way, so that way we're supposed to be getting ground, you see here, and that ground would have been here. But since we're having a ground on the second row, then that's the problem, because that's going to be a different connector. That's going to be not the connector that I worry about. It's just that the connector, well, actually I do have to worry about it, because I can't just get a regular PCI Express connector from any kind of GPU, such as this one. It happened to be 9070 with a ton of rip pads, so this one's either gonna get sent back the way it is, or maybe customer donate this so I can swap it to a power color or something and then give it away. I don't know, but I don't think, yeah. So we're gonna have to figure something out. I'm gonna have to find that connector for the CPU socket for the CPU on the motherboard, and get it replaced, and hopefully that will be it. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and prep this really quick. This is probably one of the only times where I use low melt. Otherwise I have no business of using low melt whatsoever. Just want to get these holes nice and clean, get it prepped for the connector, and we can either wick this or suck them out, whatever you have available. We might even have I think we might even have a small damage there that we're gonna have to address. Wick this out first, see what we're dealing with. I want to clean all that up because I don't know what's down there. There's a lot of flux in here. I can't really see what's going on. So I want to get it clean so that we can inspect, see what we're dealing with here. Hopefully there's no other damage other than the connector. Getting that connector is going to be a problem. Definitely, unless I can find one anywhere on them interwebs. If I can't, getting one from the motherboard is not a good plan, because of the way that because of the orientation of the connector, the way it's soldered to the motherboard. It's usually pointing straight out, but what we need here is an angle, so it would be a bit of a challenge finding one. All right, that look reasonably well. Okay, let's go under a microscope, have a look around, see if we can find anything incriminating, anything that we need to take care of before we do anything, or go any further with this repair. Alright, here we are. Looks like the shunt is factory. Okay, a little bit of mess in here. We have a rip. It looks like we got a broken trace, but I wonder if that trace goes anywhere at all. Could just be it could either be a sense pin, or it could be nothing at all. It's going into a via, and it looks like it does. So it looks like this one goes into a via, and that's probably one of the sense pins. So 12 volts going to come in here. This is going to be ground, and this one's going to be a sense pin. So yeah, we definitely need to fix that. I'm just going to go ahead and solder, put a little bit of solder on that pad, or whatever is left of it, and get it ready, and then we'll run a wire once we solder the connector, if we're able to find one. So that's there. Let's look on the back, see what we got on the back here. Well, it looks okay on the back, nothing incriminating in this area here, and okay, I guess all that's left for me now is to find a connector somewhere, probably Mauser or whatever, and I just have to pick the right one with the correct orientation, with the tab facing out this way. And well, we already know so far is that it has to be the CPU type. Let's say if I were to take this one from a GPU with a tab pointing down, but the pins are pointing in the correct orientation, if I were to solder it here like that, something like that, it's not even spaced out correctly, because the pins don't even line up, as you can see here. But that wouldn't be too big of an issue. I could bend things out a little bit. This one's slightly different. The pins will match, and then the connector sits almost as if it belongs here. But then remember, if we were to take a cable, and then if we were to plug this in like this, we will be getting 12 volt into the sense pin, into the ground, and then the ground. Wait a minute, is this right? Okay, wait a minute, how is this supposed to go? Oh, okay, never mind. So wait, what? So if this was here and then that was here, wait a minute. Ooh, this is actually correct, with the exception of, look, so we got three of the 12 volt 12 volt wires that are going into the three 12 volt pads. That's right. And then we end up ground on this row, on the second row, but then the whole thing is upside down. So interesting. So what do I need actually? What is it that I actually need? Do I need, if I flip that over though, what will happen if the whole thing flips over? If the whole thing flips over, what ends up happening is 12 volts gonna go into the ground. Yeah, so I still think we need a regular CPU connector here. I do not know 100%, but I probably want to contact the owner of this card and ask them how do they connect to the do they connect it with this with the CPU type connector or the PCI Express type connector. So if that's the PCI Express type connector, then we just found a perfect match. Otherwise, I do not want to screw things up. So yeah, but I'm guessing, I'm almost 95% confident that this is the connector, because we're having a sense pin, the 12 volt, and the ground all going in the correct directions. And aside from this latch thing, doesn't look like it's in the right place. It just looks like it wants to be on the other end, but I don't know. Like, it just looks like it wants to look like this, you know what I mean? But then if it does, the 12 volt and the ground and the sense pin, they're getting flipped as well. So I'm not sure. I just want to be 100% sure. So, or maybe I could just look up some photos and see how does it look on the back of this thing. And then if it looks exactly the same way, then we found our connector. And we all learned something today, which would be great. Okay, so I looked around long enough. I cannot find that connector anywhere. So what I'm going to do, wait. I don't want that. I want this. So, I can't just solder that into here. So, I'm thinking I'm just going to cut this and just run a piece of wire. That seems like the only logical thing to do at this point, because no connectors are available, and even if I were to find one somewhere in China, they're gonna want me to buy like 1,000 of them minimum. So we're just gonna do the easy stuff. So we're gonna cut this and a little bit shorter, so that if the cable is yanked, the force will be evenly distributed across every single pin. And let's remove the ends of it, trying to be as even as possible in this case, so that way we kind of, in the event of a hard pull, we're gonna have a consistent pressure applied throughout every single pin, rather than just one pin getting yanked out. And now let's go ahead and tin these wires just a little bit so that they do not spread. Okay, And we're gonna do the exact same thing with the ground ones. Kind of funny, I was under the impression that this card will have a regular PCI Express cable connector. And I went talking to the Gemini, and the Gemini said, yeah, just a regular PCI Express, just like a regular GPU. And that's its usual hallucination with a high confidence for whatever reason. Okay, so what is that I want to do now? I probably want to fix that wire there first. The one for the sense pin, because I will not have exposed wire like I would if I was just soldering the connector. So we need to fix that now. And that sense pin goes straight into this shunt resistor. So, alright, so let's run some kind of a wire there. Yeah, I could probably do this wire. Maybe it's a little too thick. I don't want that wire to break off the via. That will be the end of our happy days. We want something reasonable. Something like this, yes. So let's do something like this. So that's gonna be soldered to here, like that. That just looks beautiful. Then we cut away what we do not need. There we go. That via there is just so fragile. Might as well just retouch, just in case. Something like that. Then we're going to route that wire into here. And I want to secure that before I go any further. Some kind of mask. And even if I cut that wire too short, I still have plenty of wire that I can solder to if I need to. So I'm not gonna panic. Not yet anyway. Alright, I want it perfectly clean. Just like that. Wait, what is that? That looks like alcohol. I don't want no alcohol in there. Okay, one more time. No? I think that's gonna look okay. I just want to secure the base of it in here. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm thinking, since I cut that wire a little too short, I'm thinking I can just do a insert there. So just gonna do an insert like this, and that should do the trick. Hopefully it's not gonna get in the way. There we go. Something like this. I think that looks good. There we go. Okay. Okay, now let's deal with them wires. So let's insert them 1, 2, 3, and 4 like that. And then we're going to solder them on the other end of the board. We want to make sure that all the wires are through. Okay, that's almost half of what we needed to do. All right, and the same thing with the other wires. Now I probably want to warm up the board just a little bit, because these ground wires are gonna be a little bit difficult to solder because the board is gonna soak up all that heat. So I probably want to warm it up to make it a little bit easier. The options here are limited. Either I put 500 degrees on the soldering iron, risking the damage of the board, or I take my time and preheat the board a little bit, so that way we do it right and nothing gets damaged. Alright, so let's flux in here. Good amount of flux and a ton of solder. We want to do it quick while everything is still hot. That looks good to me. And there we have it. So hopefully we have successfully solved the problem. The wires, they look almost nearly perfect length, so I think that might be a win. Who knows, maybe in sometime in the future connector will be available and we'll finally be able to properly get this fixed. But until that day comes, which I doubt it will, but who knows, maybe someone in the comment section knows where I can get a socket like this. That would be nice. It would definitely help for future repairs. Let me know. So until then, we're gonna continue on and see if we actually fixed anything today or not. Who knows? Some things come with a melted connector and then you end up replacing the entire board because something went terribly wrong. Hopefully this isn't one of those. All right, let's go ahead and clean this up. Alright, I probably want to cut away maybe. Let's see if I need to cut away the tops of the wires that are sticking out just a little bit. I want to make sure that the back plate does not touch it. And it looks like the back plate does indeed touch it. And it's touching it significantly for whatever reason. So let's go and take care of that really quick. It really helps to have nice set of side cutters. There's that. I'm not exactly sure how low I should go, but I'm gonna go as low as possible. That's the one that goes to the sense pin and the ground one. I probably want to secure that sense pin one because it's kind of loose, as you can see here, because whoever tried to fix this before evidently ripped something off. So I'm gonna have to secure that. It's secure to the wire and to the trace, but it's not really secure to the board, so I guess I'm gonna have to secure that. So first what I want to do is I want to get it as clean as possible, inside and out. And we probably gonna have to apply some mask after all. Gonna go around that wire and probably all the way as much as here, so that way it just kind of stay attached to its neighbor. And this is nothing special, just a clear UV resin. It works really well for a situation like that. You can apply a very thick layer and then it'll shine right through it, curing it with no problems. You can apply as much as you want. And it is also easily removable too. So if we don't like it for whatever reason, we can just remove it later. So apply a little bit of heat and that stuff comes right off. And now on the back, exact same thing. Almost exact same thing. Just want to make sure that everything is absolutely clean. And let's do the same thing here, except this time I will probably be using a different mask so that I can tell exactly if I did exactly what I wanted to do. I just want to create like bumps on top of this, and what these bumps will do, they will keep the back cover from shorting out these contacts. Just a preventative measure here. Something like that will probably do just fine. Let's go ahead and cure these, and maybe we can do a little bit of a clear resin around that 1 sense pin, something like that, and get that cured. Alright, now let's check and see if this thing is even alive to begin with. And all that time I spent trying to get it fixed, not even knowing if it was worth fixing. So we're not reading any short here or here. Don't know what this is. 1.8. I don't like this 2 ohm reading here. Let me show you the meter 1 second. So I'm reading 2 ohms in here. I don't know what that is. What about here? Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. So 17, 18, probably memory. Who knows? I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to be getting in here. So we're getting 17, 18 here. What about the other coils? See what we're getting on these. So this one's reading 0.03, 0.25, 0.03, about the same. This one's reading a little bit different, probably a different rail. No, same thing. So I'm guessing all of these are the same, except these 2 are probably memory. And this particular one here I do not like. Why is it reading so low? Is it dead short? It's not dead short, but it is rather low. It's like 1.8 of an ohm. What could that be? I have no idea. We can give this a 1 volt and see what happens. All right, let's see. Who knows what other problems this GPU has on top of whatever is already out there. So 1 volt, and it's not pulling a whole lot of amps. It's only doing like 0.1. Yeah, so this is definitely not short. Let's check for resistance one more time. Nope, still it's reading short, but I don't know what it is. It could be PEX. I have no idea. Just out of curiosity, let's go ahead and measure the actual resistance of all of the coils. So in here, this is probably 12. We're gonna have several kilo ohms and climbing. Don't know what this is. Yeah, climbing. What about here? 2.5 probably. This coil here. This coil is reading mega ohms, so it's probably another 12 volt. This one here, same thing. This one here is reading 2.5, and then this one here was reading like 1.8. Yeah, okay. So all of these coils are probably 12 volt coils for the steering circuit. I think we have like MOSFETs that are grouped in 4. These are often used by the steering chip, steering load left and right as needed. So I don't know. I've never seen this thing before. Just making a lot of guesses right now. Okay, let's power this thing on, see what it does. So we're gonna need an adapter. Obviously, it's gonna go here, and that's gonna go here. And I'm going to limit this to maybe 2 amps, see what happens. And here goes nothing. And it's pulling almost 2 amps, 1.8, 1.2. So I'm going to increase the limit up to 4, and then we're going to go around the board and check for voltages. So this is probably memory, 1.37. This one's probably 12. This one's here, probably 12. No, it's 5. This one's here probably 12. Yes. These two are probably 12 as well. There's one. There's another. This one here, who knows what it is? 1.8. Perfect. And this one here has nothing. And we've lost the power. We are not getting any power for whatever reason. Maybe, oh, I see. My cable snapped again. Let me go and fix that really quick. Yes, I can just screw it into here. There we go. Still work. Okay, looks like it still works. Okay, let's continue on mapping this GPU. What do we have here? 12, 1.8. And then this one here, 1. So this one's definitely PEX. Wow, 1.8 ohms on PEX. That's ridiculously low. Very interesting. Then we got, what do we have here? Another coil. Oh, look, there's another coil here. Let's measure that coil for resistance and make sure that we're not getting anything funny. We're getting 1.3. It's climbing 1.4. Yeah, 1.4K. What about the voltage? And it's a 12 volt. Okay, so never mind. So another 12 volt. So, yeah. A lot of coils for 12 volt, which means this thing really likes to run stable. So, stable voltages is good. All right, so what I want to do now is I will probably have to assemble this to some degree. And then we're going to have to go into Windows and see if we can detect this, because obviously it has no output, so we're not going to be seeing any kind of images here. So let's do that, see how it goes. All right, here it is. Special thanks to the customer who did not supply a single screw. So all of the screws I had to find, and I still have not sealed the back of this. I guess that's going to go in here like that. Something along those lines. There we go. So, but I'll get to these screws later if I can find them. Right now, I'm going to be blowing air through the back of this. It doesn't really matter, actually, which way I'll be blowing air through. So, but that's what we're going to do. And I just wanted to see in the device manager if we get it. If we get this thing to detect, it will probably show up as in the X8. I got some issues with the socket. I think I got a pin bent in there or something. It runs an X8. So, but we're gonna ignore that for now. That's the motherboard issue. And hopefully this thing will just work. So let's see. Oh, and we cannot even boot. Oh, we actually did boot. Huh. Perfect. All right, so it did boot. That's good. I'm going to supply some airflow to keep it happy. We might have to do some BIOS tweaking for this thing to actually work. I'm not sure. Let's see if we even have this thing here. I do not think we even see this thing. So this thing doesn't even show up, which is very unfortunate. Okay, let's turn this off. I'm going to try to plug it in directly into the motherboard. And we need to probably enable 4G decoding thing. I'm not sure, so I'm going to plug it in straight into the motherboard and try again. Or we could also try a different motherboard. Alright, let's see. Wonder if we can search. Do we have a search function? Okay, there we go. So we can enable that. Let's see if that works. That definitely made a difference. Hopefully it'll show up. There it is. Nice. All we gotta do is now we need to find the driver for this thing and see if it actually works. Alright, so the GPU is installed, but we are getting error code for not 43. Error code 10. So we're gonna go back into BIOS and we need to change resizable bar and see if that helps. And we can probably look into CSM stuff. Who knows? Let's just go over. I already have 4G enabled, so let's see if we can if we have an option for a resizable bar. I'm not exactly sure where would that be. All right, so we're gonna have to disable CSM. We're gonna go ahead and disable that. Disable that. And worst case scenario, we're gonna have to reinstall Windows, because I think my Windows runs on legacy, so it'll probably won't even boot. But I don't know. Yep, it's not even booting anymore. So yeah, it does not even show. It doesn't even show my drives. Alright, so I'm gonna have to go reinstall the Windows and see if that helps. Okay, so we are in the UEFI. Let's see if it's still doing the same thing or not. Oh, looks like the thing is gone. Okay, seems to be working properly. We can go and see what the GPU-Z is saying. I hate this dialogue. Turn it off. Alright, and 32 gigs Tesla. We have memory, and just like I said, we're running an 8 instead of 16. That's normal. So all the sensors are there. Temperatures are terrible though. Alright, let's give this thing a far mark, see how it holds up. Not gonna run it for too long. Kind of makes me wonder if it's even recognizing it. Which of the GPU does it use? It's not telling me. GPU, board power, Yeah, this thing doesn't even, firmware doesn't even doesn't even understand what it is. So let's try a memory test maybe. During your initial fail, this thing doesn't even work. Why not? Yeah, so I can't even run Vulkan. It's not supporting it. I kind of wonder if we can run, if the Unigen engine will detect this thing. Most likely not, but who knows? I clearly need to have some a different software in order to access this GPU so I can stress test it. So yeah, it's completely oblivious to its existence. Let's see if the Lux mark will recognize this GPU, and it looks like it does. And I want to see if it's actually using it. Oh, there we go. Yep, that one's definitely pulling some juice out of that card. Nice. It's not doing 100% TDP, but it's doing a lot of that compute stuff. So clock's risen, so we know it's functioning properly. Everything's maxing out. We're good. Absolutely beautiful. So that's it. Successful repair, and that's all we care about. I'm gonna let this one run and give the customer good news. And as for you, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll fix something else in the next one. Goodbye.